Welcome to the Test Table. I'm your host Carl, and this is a brief history of the Inuyasha trading card game. Now, if you're interested in learning how this game is played, or watching the game be played, you can click the link in the description below, or click the card above to take you to our first ever attempt at playing the game. I'm not going to go over the rules or how the game is played here, because this is just going to be the history of the game. Alright, with that, let's get started. Released on October 20th, 2004, the Inuyasha TCG hoped to capitalize on what seemed like an ever-growing audience of kids and teens caught up in the card game craze of the early 2000s. Games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon were powerhouses on the playground, and other companies wanted in. The game was released to much fanfare. It was, after all, one of the biggest animes currently airing on Cartoon Network's Adult Swim at the time. It was launched alongside the Inuyasha Organized Play program, which hoped to act like the popular Pokemon League series, giving the Inuyasha game its own tournament brackets at all game stores registered with Score Entertainment. The official name of this program was 7, the Score Entertainment Verified Event Network. To become part of 7, retailers could go to Score's website and enroll themselves into the program. Once registered, the stores could officially host Inuyasha TCG tournaments and events. Players were given official scorecards that could be used to keep track of points. Then, the tournament organizer would enter their points into an online database. The initial launch of the game carried with it not only the game's first booster box, Tetsaiga, but it also carried with it a tournament kit that included 20 entry promo cards, a promotional poster, and an exclusive card binder. Upon the game's initial success, a very competitive tournament scene quickly grew around the game. Score ramped up their support and took their game on tour around the country, to places like Gen Con Indy 2004. With this amount of support from the parent company and a swiftly growing tournament scene, the Inuyasha TCG was initially a success and was even nominated by its fans as the best new CCG of the year in 2004. Here's a post on the official Inuyasha TCG website. The Inuyasha TCG has been nominated by you, the fans, to Inquest Magazine's 2004 Inquest Gamer Fan Awards for Best New CCG. We here at Score would like to thank you for your support and encourage you to further support Inuyasha by casting your votes on the Inquest website by going to the link below. Considering most card games don't even last a year, the Inuyasha TCG was beating the odds, and the fans seemed to love it. This was good news for Score and for the TCG community as a whole. With that initial success, Score rolled out more support for the game in 2005 in the form of the game's first 2-player pack and new booster sets. Unfortunately, there is no wiki or web page which shows the release order of the booster sets. Hey guys, Future Carl here. I actually made a mistake. You just heard me say that there is no website or database or anything like that that lists the sets in order. That is not true, actually. One of my friends, who also helps out with the channel, sent me a link to a website. It's like a Google data dump thing that not only lists all the sets in order, but it also has a bunch of other information about the card game that would have been very, very helpful when I was writing the script, because obviously I didn't know about this site until after the script was already done and recorded. So this is just a little PS that I wanted to give a shout out to that site and link it down in the description below for you guys to go check out. The closest I found was a website called CCG Trader that listed all the sets, but I have no idea if these are in chronological order or not. So I did what any sane person would do. I went to the Wayback Machine and started looking through forums, homepage updates, and other sources on the Inuyasha TCG website until I was able to cobble together a timeline of releases. The boosters that released in 2005 are Heejin in February, Jockey on May 18th, Yokai in July or August, I wasn't sure about that one, and Kasin in November, and the popularity of the game surged. This was also in part thanks to the anime and the franchise's constant appearance in pop culture. During that same year, Score began to organize more local, regional, and national tournaments. Score even hosted a World Championship event at Anime Expo in Anaheim, California. A post from the Inuyasha website explains. Date, July 6, 2005. World Champion crowned. This 4th of July weekend, at Anime Expo, the inaugural Inuyasha TCG World Champion was crowned. 39 players descended upon the Anaheim Convention Center to prove that they deserve the World Champion trophy, the cash, the one-of-one Rumiko Takahashi autograph card, and most importantly, the title of Inuyasha World Champion. After 2 days of competition, one woman was left standing. Sandy Price, with her Kagura mains deck, defeated Playapat, P-chan, Von Kulikan, and his favorite $2 Wolves deck for the title of 2005 Shikon Jewel World Champion, and the spoils that accompany the title. Congratulations to Sandy, P-chan, and all participants in the first Shikon Jewel World Championship. It was clear that Score wanted this to be the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon, and was willing to put in the work to get it there, routinely offering large cash prizes and other incentives to get players interested in these events. By December of 2005, Score was handing out over $10,000 in cash routinely at regional and national events, alongside autographed cards by the voice actors and the creator of the show. The game leaped into the new year, 2006, with as much energy and vigor as it had at the end of 2005. The next booster, Saisei, was released in February and sported a nice redesign for the cards. They now featured more prominent text boxes, a white border, and a text box for the card's name. Saisei was followed shortly thereafter by Shimei in either late June or early July. Unfortunately, the end of 2006 marked the beginning of the slow burn that ultimately led to the game's cancellation. The last booster of 2006 was Tosu, which released in October. Sometime during this year, Score also released the last two-player pack, which featured Naraku and Inuyasha as the deck themes. Make no mistake, throughout 2006, Score was still supporting the tournament scene, and player points were being updated regularly on the website. But it was clear by the end of 2006 that something was wrong. 2007 spelled the end for the Inuyasha TCG. Only 2 boosters released that year. The first was Kashin on February 28, 2007. Oddly enough, Kashin sported another more radical redesign for the cards, this time giving them a very prominent black border, more prominent colors in general, bigger text boxes, and bigger text overall. This year also marked the introduction of keywords to the Inuyasha TCG. Now, keywords are a concept used by many card games to describe effects and actions that certain cards have, by using a keyword instead of writing out the effect. For example, in Magic the Gathering, the keyword trample is used to describe the action of inflicting damage to your opponent even if the creature with trample is blocked. Normally, the introduction of card redesigns and keywords are a sign of a healthy, growing card game. However, in this case, it appeared to be a last-ditch effort by Score to make their game more accessible to a larger audience. This, we know, was done in vain. And the last and final set for the Inuyasha TCG was Tensei, which released on July 12, 2007. The release of the set coincided with a post on the website in regards to the game's shutdown. It reads, Date, June 7, 2007. Tensei edition to be Inuyasha TCG's final set. After 3 fun and exciting years, the Inuyasha trading card game will come to an end with the release of Tensei. With Tensei, we have concentrated our efforts by creating a set that not only completes the TCG, but makes it a fan favorite. To start, all cards in Tensei will be foil. The 10-card subset titled Classics will include many of the hard-to-find or most popular cards throughout all releases of Inuyasha, including Waking Up, Watching Each Other's Back, Naraku's Evil Influence, and Rin, follower of Sesshomaru. Unlike previous sets, cards in the Classic subset will drop about 1 in every 3 packs. A total of 14 new officially unreleased promos, which will include the 10 Sesshomaru League cards, will also be inserted at a minimum of 1 per booster pack. Additionally, 12 different voice actor autographs will be featured as a combination of hero and villain feudal voices and player's choice cards. Don't worry, we will still support tournaments for the remainder of the year. This includes the continued supply of tournament kits for stores, the 6 remaining Inuyasha regional tournaments, as well as the West Coast Championships at Anime Expo, East Coast Championship at Otakon, and the Inuyasha parties. As an added bonus to you, our loyal fans, who are attending the West and East Coast Championships, we are awarding 2 unique one-of-one Rumiko Takahashi original autograph cards. One of these highly sought-after autograph cards will be presented to each of the Coastal Championship winners, and one will be granted to a random participating player. Tensei, the 12th Inuyasha TCG release, will release on July 12th. Despite the final booster being released in 2007, the game clearly still wasn't dead. As far as I can tell from updating tournament results on the website, tournaments were still being held all the way through early 2009, which is kind of insane. I don't know who Michael L. is, but if he's watching this, then he's a legend. Something I failed to mention in this video thus far is the importance of the website in relation to the health of the game. The website acted as a hub for most players. It let them stay up to date with what sets were coming out, keep track of their points, discuss things about the game on the website's built-in forum, see previews of cards, alert them about events that were happening, and it even had a deck building and sharing feature that was pretty ahead of its time. All that is to say that the website was crucial to the game's health. Unfortunately, the website made its last official post on September 13, 2007. The post simply read, "Update to the CRD. The Inuyasha CRD has been updated to include Tensei. You can use this link to see all of the changes." The CRD was the game's official rulebook, which also included a ban list. After the last post, the site went quiet until it was finally sold sometime between 2009 and 2010. Also, if you want to check out the site yourself, I'll give you a link in the description below to follow. So what happened to the Inuyasha TCG? Why did it fail? Well, it's not really clear. There is no smoking gun on the website, or on the internet in general, and I could actually argue that it shouldn't have failed. In fact, all my sources point to the opposite effect. The posts on the website, combined with old articles and forums I found, all seem to convey an active, healthy community. So, what happened? Well, let's take a look at the year the game failed, 2007. By this time, in the United States, the card game fad was mostly over. Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Had sparked it, but now those franchises started to stagger, as the generation they had captivated so wholly grew up and out of their demographic. If Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Staggered from this, other franchises collapsed. The bubble had finally burst, and caught in the explosion was the Inuyasha TCG. It's not a coincidence that other games started to fail around this time too, like Score's popular hit, the Dragon Ball Z card game. Kids just weren't buying cards anymore, and companies were terrified. Then, starting around 2007, one of the worst economic recessions in recorded history rocked the United States economy, forcing companies to pull back their resources and scale down production on anything that wasn't a smash hit. Score was no different, and they tried to weather the economic storm by cutting costs, canceling games, and firing employees. But even with all of those measures, it wasn't enough, and Score officially closed its doors in early 2009. That brings us back to the Inuyasha TCG and its peculiar story. A story about a game that, on the surface, appeared to be thriving. It had everything: a vibrant competitive scene, support from the parent company, and a loyal fanbase ready to gobble up any new product. The game was fun, constantly evolving, and it seemed like its opportunities were endless. However, the collapse of the card game market and the mid-2000s recession ensured that the Inuyasha TCG, like many others, would become only a novelty in a never-ending story of card game history. If you'd like to see a more in-depth look at the game where we cover ban lists, popular decks, and other things not covered here, please let us know down in the comments below. And if you like this content, please consider subscribing, as we've got more just like it coming down the pipeline. This has been Carl with the Test Table. Thanks for tuning in. It's recording. Yeah, I know. This will probably make it into the outtake at the end. Help me. I can't leave. I have been stuck here for 4 days.